All right, what's up, Giga Gamers? Welcome to the Strat Chat. Welcome to patch 13.5 review with insights. We're going to be looking at everything. There's major changes across the board, including 2 complete reworks. So stay tuned and find out what the best move is for making those champions work in your games. Here's the patch highlights, including the new skins. We'll be looking at those later. Yuumi, going over a massive change. Basically, you are going to create a best friend bond by being with one champion the most. When you are on that champion, your spells will have empowered effects. All right, your Q is going to have a better slow. You're going to have better ratios. You're going to have a better shield. When you heal, when you hit them with a Q, your ally's going to get a miniature Nashor's Tooth on hit and healing buff. So definitely want to be on one champion for the majority of the game, and you want that champion to be a marksman because some of the abilities actually scale on your opponent, on your teammates. Critical strike chance. This also means that Yuumi and Neela are going to be best friends. I expect that combo to be very good all the way up into pro play. The R is being changed as well. Instead of being a root, now it's going to be a heal for allies and a slow for your enemies. You're also going to give your best friend, your empowered best friend that you're on, extra stats, right? You're going to give them extra armor and magic resistance. So much better for the hard carry, much worse for the jump on the Olaf in the mid-game plan. Aatrox is being buffed. Still too soon in my book. That champion was rampaging all over last year. I would be fine if this was never seen again in ever, really. But 2023, you can sit on the bench, Aatrox. Ashe, getting a nerf to the support build. The W and the R are getting worse. But in a trade-off, the Q, Ranger's Focus, is getting a mana cost buff and a duration increase. And that duration increase is critical because at level 1, if you go Q now and you just walk up with Hail of Blades or Lethal Tempo, hit Q, boom. You're going to win that all in. You're going to deal a tremendous amount of damage. She is now the highest sustained damage in bot lane. So pick her up, use her aggressively, level 1, get the Q, go all in. Aurelion Sol getting some much needed nerfs. The health growth is going down, the armor growth is going down, and the breath of light is going down. So this champion's been taking over late games, especially in lower ELOs. It's been very hard to combat. I think that Riot's a little bit tone deaf on this because they're seeing that Aurelion Sol's win rate isn't just exploding up in Diamond, but when you look at the matchup chart, Aurelion Sol is getting first picked and then getting counterpicked, and even then has a plus 50% win rate. So I don't think these changes are enough. Aurelion Sol is still completely busted. You should keep on playing it. Azir, massive rework as well. All right, a lot of power taken out of the early game, losing 72 health at level 1, losing another 60 mana. The Q is being even more expensive, which means you're only going to be able to cast 3 of them in lane before you need to recharge. But you're getting more scaling. So this is going to completely change Azir. No longer is it the I erase a champion in mid lane. It's now going to be way more about the scaling. The W no longer gives bonus attack speed, but instead it has extra damage. The Conquering Sands mana cost, like we said, went way up. But later in the game, when you're above 200 AP, you're going to get some extra damage. Shifting Sands lowered on the AP ratio, but improved on the damage that you deal, especially once you put 5 points in it. But really, honestly, that's usually not until level 18. So that is also a nerf. Caitlyn has been the dominant bot lane marksman. They're just giving her straight stat decreases. Base armor is going down. Base attack damage is going down. Fizz, beautiful quality of life changes to the mana. All right, mana restored going up on the W, and the cost on the E is going down, as well as a little bit of extra damage. 10 extra damage should make it so your break points at level 5. When you have 3 points, you should be able to take down those backline minions, especially if you've used Minion Dematerializer. Gangplank getting a much needed nerf, although it's not that big. The passive is going down, but it still has 100% bonus AD scaling. It's still an ability. They haven't touched how it works with Navori Quickblades. So basically on 2 items, or at worst at 3 when you're dealing with the Prowler's Claw, the Essence Reaver and Navori. Sometimes you have Collector mixed in. Once that's all done, this passive is still going to deal about 1,000 true damage. So be careful for that. It's still going to be a scaling pick. The Powder Keg is being changed, however. The recharge rate is going up. All right, so he's going to have way fewer, much less access to barrel chain combos. So watch for that change. Jinx getting massive buffs. Attack speed growth going up, zap damage going up, zap slow going up, and to combat the change that has happened with Smite now being worth 1,200, Jinx, our Super Mega Death Rocket, can now actually outsmite, or at least it's another smite on your team that you can use to try to hit and steal Baron or Dragon. Kennen getting a massive buff. The Q is improving, the E is improving, W, more damage to minions, more damage across the board. Kennen should expect to see a lot of good play, especially since some of his items, like Horizon Focus, have gotten buffed. Cosmic Drive, you'll see later, also getting buffed. So Kennen getting a lot of love in the form of some ancillary changes. LeBlanc can now Q minions, and it deals bonus damage, and it refunds the mana cost and 30% of the cooldown. So LeBlanc is going to have a much easier laning phase. I think she's already in a pretty good spot, especially with some of the matchups and the scaling mages that we have in mid. So expect to see lots of LeBlanc, especially from one guy. I don't know if you've heard of him. His name is Faker. I assume he's going to be playing lots of LeBlanc. Pantheon, some changes. They don't really matter. They're aimed at top, but it's some nerf, some buff. It's unimpactful. It's still uninteresting. Kiana getting some nice buffs. The cooldown on her E is going down. The damage on her Q is going up. Rammus has still been too strong, and it pains me because I've recently fallen in love with top lane Rammus, and this, it's just another knock. The attack damage growth is going down. The Powerball magic damage is also going down. That being said, Powerball was the least used ability in top lane, so not that big of a deal for me. Rumble getting massive changes. Scaling magic shred on the harpoon. All right. So when you are hitting with 1 or 2, they stack, they are adding up, they are shredding, and you can add this on top of your magic pen. So that Rumble can basically still be dealing true damage into the late game. Look to combo this with someone that can hold people in place for a long time, like a Renata or a Seraphine, something that can put people in place, a large group of people in one spot, and then Rumble can just line them up. Samira got a little bit harshly nerfed. We said that she was completely gutted last patch. They're giving back some move speed on the passive. Tryndamere has been a early game menace, but has fallen off. They're giving him scaling some growth, so look for a little bit more split push. Health growth is going up by 3, no big deal. Attack damage, however, is going up by 0.3. That is going to add up as the game goes on. Split pushing is still kind of dead, so Tryndamere's never really going to be in a good place, but this is a step in the right direction. Twitch EAP ratio is going down by 5%, which you really need to multiply by 6, so it's really going down by 30% when you're going for that full contaminate burst. Xayah has been the premier bot laner, just too good at everything. Paired with Rakan also being the premier support, and then together they're even better. I mean, it was a no-nonsense, easy script to win. Just pick Xayah and Rakan in pro play. They're taking away a little bit of power from Xayah, but not from Rakan. Mostly aimed at the blade collar. The damage is going down by 5, but you have to multiply that by all the feathers, which can be up to 11. So, and sometimes even more with Navori Quickblade's builds. So this could be a lot of damage going into the late game, especially when you add in that it's multiplied by Navori Quickblades, etc. And the cooldown is going up. So this was probably one of the most impacted abilities in the game by the introduction of Navori. Or I should say the reintroduction. It's getting nerfed to compensate. Yorick, ghouls are getting hurt. This is a hit to our jungle Yorick pick. It's too bad, but it was kind of frustrating late game when you played against the Cyrilda's Grudge Yorick that he was just kind of one-shotting people with not much counterplay, especially since the ghouls are spell resistant. So there's still some compositions. If they're playing lots of AoE and magic damage, the ghouls are still going to be great. They're still super powered. He's still a really good jungle clearer. He clears very quickly, and he can solo Baron at 20 minutes. So I think there is a world where Yorick still gets played. Zed is reverting his E Shadow Slash nerfs from way back at the end of Season 12, but to compensate, they are taking away 3 magic resist. So a little bit of give and take here for Zed should leave him in a fairly healthy spot. Jungle changes. They are taking away the nerf to counter jungling. So you guys are smart. What does that mean you should do? I'll give you a couple seconds. If you said that you should hit that like and subscribe button, then you're absolutely right. But also, bonus points if you said I should be invading, meat's on the menu, absolutely get back into their jungle. Now that people have had 6 months, well, 5 months to work with the new jungle changes, they should be impervious to getting ganked, right? Or at least their mental shouldn't get busted. They say it right here that basically they wanted a lot of new junglers to come into the fold, and they didn't want counter jungling to dissuade them from doing it, because it felt really bad when you go to your buff and it's gone. It just feels bad, right? Even though it's not that impactful, they had to spend more time to take it than they lost. But it just felt bad. So they got rid of it. It's coming back. You can now counter jungle at your disposal. Jungle Camp Gold is going up. This is to compensate for the treat value having gone down. This is a little bit better for your power farming. It's also better for laners late game who are taking camps. You can get a little bit more gold. It was definitely off the menu for your team to take your camps. It's something that didn't really make it in. People didn't really want to talk about it. But for 5 months now, if you're taking your jungler's camps, you're just like hard nerfing for no reason. It takes way too much to fight them. The jungle camps all got buffed. They're worth less gold, and you're taking away the treat bonus from your jungler. At least some of the gold is coming back. I still recommend that you don't take your jungler's camps unless they have absolutely no way to get to them, and all you're doing is clearing it, helping it to level up. Jungle lane experience. This is a big one. Blabber, I'm looking at you. Blabber has the record for the fastest level 6. And they did it by pathing and then going through mid, leeching experience with a push, which allowed mid laner plus Blabber to move into the jungle to get the other Scuttle Crab. This is a very powerful combo that everyone should still be looking to use, but they are taking away some of the shared experience. You're no longer getting 75% as the jungler. You're going to start off by getting 40, and usually at level 4 when you're doing this is about a 46% change. So it's a decent amount. It should impact it. Pro teams are definitely going to want to look to exactly how many minions you need to share for your jungler to get a fast level 6 or even just a fast level 5. Those small differences can make the difference between winning and losing scuttle fights and that like 3:30 to 6 minute window, which is very highly scripted in pro play. So expect the pro teams to be looking at this, and I expect Blabber to be the first one to do it. Sweeping Lens getting nerfed. The timer is getting increased. Sorry, the cooldown timer is getting increased. This is to match the Trinket ward that had the same nerf essentially. Basically, they're making a little bit less solvable early game, right? Pro play, they want to see dynamic. They want to see changes. They want to see invades. They want to see turret dives. And the early Trinket and Sweeping Lens were a little bit too good. Some power's been taken out of those, so expect some more early aggression. Get to know these timers, because if you can see when someone doesn't have Trinket anymore, doesn't have access to Lens, that's your perfect time to get in a gank. All right, items, big changes. Cosmic Drive is losing HP but gaining AP. Overall buff, especially for a lot of the champions that are looking to use it, like Lilia, Cassiopeia. They're already getting HP from other sources, so the AP should be really nice for them. And way better for champions like Lux and Veigar, your artillery mages that didn't really care about the health. Now they're getting a lot of extra AP. This is going to be a very big buff for those champions. Plated Steel Caps getting buffed and maybe being ridiculously buffed. They are discussing that the code was saying that different types of coded attacks would not get prevented based on it not being a like basic attack. So does that mean that Teemo's Toxic Shot is now going to get blocked? Does it mean that your minion add damage, your Heimerdinger turrets, are all these things going to get blocked because they are an attack? Some of them are coded as spell effects, so it's going to be interesting to see exactly which things these hit. I'm not certain about how good of a buff this is, but it's definitely a buff. Plated steel caps, probably worth taking early as they figure out what changes do and don't belong here. Seraph's Embrace, the combo of Rod of Ages, Seraph's Embrace has been too strong, so they're taking some power out of Seraphs. As they've been doing, now we go to runes, as they've been doing across the board, they've been taking some healing out of champion kits. They're doing the same thing by taking some healing, especially early, out of Triumph and Grasp of the Undying. What they are giving back is a little bit of extra health increase. Nominal amount, not really going to make a difference. If you're proccing this 40 times, it's a total of 80 extra health. It's not that big of a deal, but it's something. It adds up. It's a little bit for the Shens Mundos of the world that want that extra HP. Triumph, a little bit worse early when it's super impactful, and a little bit better later when it's not that impactful, right? ARAM adjustments, if you play it, great. Let me know how it is. Comment in the comment section below. Let me know how ARAM feels, because there's been a lot of changes, and one of my friends is actually on the team that is working on this, so I will give direct feedback. Whatever you put in the comments, I will make sure that they get. Clash is coming back. Absolutely wonderful. Love it. Can't wait to do this, although I will be away for one of these weekends, which pains me, but let me know how yours go. Champion pricing is being much more friendly towards new players, and they're going to change a lot of the newer geared champions, or champions geared towards newer players, to be less expensive, so you can see a lot more Yuumis running around, for example. Behavioral system changes. We love that they're putting effort into that. A little bit worse to dodge. Great. It's fine. Sometimes, you can't avoid it, but they just don't want lobbies getting dodged, and it makes sense. Bug fixes and quality of life changes. Normally I scour through this, and I have this time as well, and I find a gem, something that is definitely going to impact in a way that's more impactful than what you see if you kind of read between the lines, but I didn't see anything that's going to change. It looks like they're all just going to be either quality of life or simplicity or visual effects, so it doesn't seem that bad. Mythic Shop is rotating Prestige, Broken Covenant, Misfortune. She's the champion with 2 Prestige skins. Take a peek for this Broken Covenant, and that comes up with the upcoming skins and chromas. We have probably the most unique skin I've ever seen, Broken Covenant Cho'Gath. We have the Misfortune, Broken Covenant, Rakan, and Xayah. As always, they need to be paired, although they did announce that with this skin and with all future skins of Xayah and Rakan, they're no longer going to have a intermingled embrace for the recall. The way they worded it made it seem like they were getting rid of the recall effect together, which I hope they don't do, although, you don't really need champions to be that much better in organized play, but it'll be interesting to see if that's still there. Broken Covenant Nocturne makes a lot of sense, and we've got Riven, Vlad, and Prestige Broken Covenant Misfortune right here, so maybe we'll make that our splash art. You guys enjoyed it. If you like this video, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps the channel out a lot. I'll catch you guys next time. Keep it surreal. Peace.